What if I told you that cutting her off isn't the punishment you think it is? You think going no contact will break her, that your silence will echo in her heart and make her regret everything. But here's the truth, most won't say she might have seen it coming. She's been through it. She might have even prepared for it. No contact might silence the noise, but it doesn't flip the power. It doesn't rebuild your self-worth. It doesn't guarantee she'll feel the loss. But here's what does: transforming in silence. You don't win by disappearing. You win by becoming the man who doesn't need to be seen to be felt. You're here because you were loyal. You gave her your heart, your energy, your trust. And when she left, she didn't just walk away, she left you questioning your value. That pain you're carrying, that's not a wound. That's your awakening. This video isn't about revenge. It's not about making her jealous or getting her back. It's about becoming so grounded in who you are that her absence feels like a favor. This is stoic blessing. And today, we're not just going silent, we're getting stronger. We're not trying to hurt her ego, we're removing her power over yours. If you're done letting her memory haunt your progress, and you're ready to rewrite your story, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below. I rise from rejection. Now let's go deeper. The first step, burn the illusion. You're not grieving her, you're grieving the idea of her, the woman you thought she was. The version in your head who said the right things, who looked at you like you were everything, who promised forever. That version that wasn't her. That was a fantasy built by your hope, your loyalty, your belief that finally someone saw you. But ask yourself, what did she actually do? Did she leave without giving you answers? Did she breadcrumb you, play victim, or move on before your heart could catch up? That's not love. That's not loyalty. That's ego, insecurity, control. And every time you revisit the past, reread the messages, or replay the memories where she felt different, you're feeding that illusion. You're keeping her on a pedestal she hasn't earned. And that pedestal is not lifting her, it's lowering you. Because when you see her as rare, as special, as the one you lost, you give her power. But a stoic man sees reality, not fantasy. It's time to look at her without the filter of emotion. What did you excuse? What red flags did you paint white? What boundaries did you ignore just to keep the connection? She wasn't your forever. She was your mirror. She didn't destroy your heart, she revealed the parts of you that needed healing. She exposed the part of you that loved potential more than reality, that stayed loyal to confusion instead of clarity. And the truth is, she wasn't your soulmate, she was your teacher. And the lesson is this: stop loving what hurts you, stop chasing what breaks you, and start respecting yourself more than your attachment to anyone who doesn't see your worth. Burn the illusion, because in those ashes, you won't find bitterness. You'll find clarity. You'll see that she didn't reject you. She made space for your transformation, and that's where your power begins. Number 2, become unreachable. No contact is the starting point, it's not the destination. Any man can block her, delete her, or walk away physically. That's not strength, that's the bare minimum. If you really want to shift the power, you have to go deeper. You don't just vanish from her phone, you vanish from her influence. That means no emotional leaks. No Instagram stories designed to make her wonder. No cryptic quotes posted for her to decode. No indirect messages hoping she'll see the new you. Because here's the hard truth: if she knows you still care, she still controls the dynamic. If she can trigger a reaction with silence, a post, or her name flashing in your notifications, then her ego is still fed. And a stoic man does not feed egos. He reclaims his energy. Becoming unreachable means you detach not just from contact but from emotion. You stop checking her socials. You stop asking mutual friends for updates. You stop letting her live rent-free in your mind. Your inner world becomes locked, focused, guarded. That's what she really wants to breach, not your inbox, but your peace. And when she can't, when she's met with stillness, with complete emotional absence, that's when the questions start. Because attention is familiar, but indifference is foreign. Indifference is uncomfortable. And when you pair silence with absolute detachment, when there's no emotional residue, no passive-aggressive energy, no validation left to gain, that's not just disappearance, that's torment. That's when her ego begins to fracture. Not because you vanished, but because you became invisible to her emotionally. She can't read you, she can't predict you. You become the unknown, and mystery, that's magnetic, that's the shift, that's where you rise. Number 3, master the void. Most men treat silence like punishment, like a waiting room, a space they suffer in until she reaches out, regrets, or returns. But that mindset, that's weakness pretending to be patience. If you want to take back your life, You don't just endure the silence, you use it. You turn it into your weapon, your gym, your monastery, your war room. The void is where your transformation begins, not in the chaos, not in the text threads, not in the arguments or fake closure. It's in the stillness where there's no distraction, no dopamine, no noise, that you meet the man underneath the heartbreak, the part of you that's still bleeding, the part of you she never truly saw. And that's where your edge is born, while she's out searching for attention, distracting herself from the silence, pretending she's unbothered. You're in the dark building discipline, you're stacking habits, you're sharpening your focus, you're learning to sit with the uncomfortable and grow from it. The man who can sit in complete silence without validation, affection, or attention is the man who becomes unstoppable. He no longer fears the void, he owns it. And once you master the void, you stop asking when will she notice, and start asking what will I become. You move differently, you speak less, you observe more. And when the world finally that sees you again, no one will understand how you became this version, because you built him in silence, and she'll feel it. Not because you reached out, not because you posted something, but because the man you were no longer exists, and the one who replaced him doesn't need her to feel complete. Number 4, the mirror effect. You don't crush her ego by explaining yourself. You do it by becoming a reflection, one she can't avoid, one that shows her exactly what she chose to walk away from. Most men try to gain closure. They send long texts, hoping to be understood, hoping to be heard. But that's not strength, that's surrender. That's seeking validation from someone who's already decided. And that validation seeking, that's exactly what feeds her ego. You want to shake her world. Don't explain, don't chase, don't beg to be seen. Become the mirror, let the silence speak. Let your absence echo, let your growth be so loud that her choices speak for themselves. When you stop reacting, stop chasing, and simply reflect her energy back at her, something changes. The attention she once fed on is gone. The drama she once used to feel and control, it dies. And what's left? Her own decisions, her own behavior, her own loss, staring her in the face. That's the mirror effect. You don't argue, you don't blame, you just reflect. You give her nothing to distort, nothing to twist, no weakness to exploit. Just calm, silent consequence. That's when she starts questioning herself. That's when the confidence cracks. Because deep down she expected you to fold. She expected you to wait. She expected you to come crawling back. And when you don't, when you rise, when you evolve with zero emotional outreach, that's when she feels it. Regret, insecurity, curiosity, and the best part, you didn't force it. You didn't fake it. You became it. You became the mirror, and she couldn't handle the reflection. Number 5, withdraw all validation. Ego doesn't thrive on silence, it feeds on attention. It craves your reactions, your glances, your posts, your jealousy. That's why even after she leaves, she might still orbit, a random like her just checking in text, a story view that feels intentional. But don't take the bait. This isn't love, it's ego maintenance. She's not asking, do you still love me? She's asking, do I still have control? And this is where most men fall. They validate her even in silence. They post thirst traps. They write cryptic quotes. They throw shade disguised as strength. But every subtle move that hopes she's watching, that's still validation. And validation is her fuel. You want to crush her ego, kill the supply. Not with bitterness, with indifference. A stoic man understands that attention is currency. Every view, every like, every emotional ripple, that's energy. And if she's already spent the love, she doesn't get the interest. You don't owe her closure. You don't owe her a front row seat to your glow up. You don't pose to prove a point. You move like a man whose growth speaks louder than his words. And when she realizes your evolution isn't performance, it's permanent, that's when her ego stops. Because what's more damaging than anger? Irrelevance. The moment she senses you no longer care whether she's watching or not, that she's no longer a factor in your world, something inside her cracks. She's no longer the center of your universe. She's not even a sentence in your story. Number 6, transmute the pain into power. This pain you carry, it's not a weakness, it's raw fuel. And you've got two choices. Let it corrode you from the inside or forge something unstoppable from it. Most men get stuck in the wreckage, replaying the betrayal, asking why me? But a stoic doesn't ask why. He asks, what now? You want to turn heartbreak into power. Then use the fire she lit to burn everything holding you back. Not obsession with her, obsession with your purpose. The gym, the business, the craft, the solitude. The silence becomes sacred. The work becomes worship, and the man who rises from that furnace He's not the same. He's sharper, colder, focused, not because he hates, but because he no longer needs. He doesn't chase love, he chooses it. And that shift, that transmutation, is terrifying to the one who thought she broke you. Because now, you're not just growing, you're evolving. Every ignored text, every silent treatment, every betrayal became a rep, a mile, a dollar, a discipline. She didn't break you, she revealed the steel underneath. And now, when she hears your name, she doesn't feel victory. She feels the void of everything she underestimated. Number 7, become the man she can't replace. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most breakups don't hit her immediately. She walks away thinking she can upgrade, that you were temporary, that you're forgettable, that you can be swapped out like a playlist or a favorite hoodie. That's the moment you begin your quiet ascent. Not out of revenge but transformation. You become the man she didn't think you could be. Not by flexing money or status or petty wins. That's noise. You become so locked into purpose, so grounded in presence, that the version of you she left behind becomes a stranger. You become irreplaceable not because of what you have but because of who you've become. Stoic, focused, disciplined, rare. Because here's the truth, most men operate on ego and attention. They chase, they react, they fold under emotion. But not you. You detach, you build, you embody peace as power and discipline as armor. And while she cycles through men stuck in loops of validation and games, you keep ascending, not changing for her but becoming who you always had the potential to be without her. She was the disruption that forced your evolution. And now when your name comes up in conversation, when she scrolls past your photo, when she hears about who you've become, it hits different. Not like nostalgia, like loss. She didn't just lose a boyfriend. She lost a once-in-a-lifetime presence. And what do? Nothing. You don't announce it. You don't chase her attention. You just live, fully, quietly, with strength so deep it speaks louder than anything you post. And that's when it hurts most. When your absence weighs more than your presence ever did. Number 8. Build a new identity in shadow. You don't evolve in public. You rebuild in the dark quietly, relentlessly, without applause. That's where real transformation happens. Not in the comments, not on the timeline, but in the shadows, when no one's watching and you have nothing left to prove. If you want to crush her ego, stop trying to be seen and start becoming someone worth missing. This is where most men fail. They want her to notice the grind. They want her to feel regret in real time. So they post updates, signal the change, beg for her attention without realizing it. But that's not strength, that's performance, and performance is weakness. You don't need her to see you improve. You need to become so improved, so completely different, that the next time she hears your name, it doesn't even sound like the man she left behind. A Stoic builds in silence because he's not driven by revenge, he's driven by rebirth. You cut distractions, you build new systems, you become disciplined in sleep, health, focus, vision, and you do it without needing praise. Because once your identity is rooted in who you are, not who you're trying to impress, you become unshakable. Here's the irony. When you stop trying to be seen, that's when they start noticing. She sensed the shift, not through your posts, but through your silence, through the way mutuals talk about you, through the glow that only solitude and evolution create. She won't recognize you, and that's the point. This isn't revenge, this is resurrection, and she's not invited to the second chapter. Number 9. Let her watch from afar. You don't need to block her, you don't need to hide. Let her watch from a distance she can't cross. That's where the real sting is. You're not being petty, you're being calculated. You've rebuilt, you've detached, you've become unreachable. Now she sits outside your new life, knowing she doesn't belong there anymore. People crave what they can no longer control. When you were accessible, she took your presence for granted. But now, she must witness what she walked away from. And that's where her ego begins to eat itself. Not because you said anything, not because you tried to make her jealous, but because you became the man she thought she never would. The man who doesn't need her validation to thrive. The key is subtlety. You don't flaunt. You don't thirst trap. You don't direct anything at her. You just move in strength. Post that project you launched, not the gym selfie screaming for her reaction. Share your mindset, your peace, your progress. Not to flex, but to lead, because now you live for your mission, not her memory. She will see it. Maybe not today, maybe not next week. But she will scroll, she will hear, she will wonder, and when she does, the silence will hit differently, not because you're gone, but because she sees what you've become, and she knows she's no longer part of that evolution. And you don't chase, you don't reach out, you don't react, you stay steady in your lane while her ego unravels in the rear view. That's power, That's how you win without saying a single word. Number 10. Forgive for power, not peace. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's not letting her off the hook. It's not pretending the pain didn't cut deep. Forgiveness is the final flex. It's saying, you no longer have the power to affect me. That right there is the death blow to her ego. Because nothing shatters someone who expected hate more than genuine unbotheredness. But here's the truth. You don't forgive her for her. You forgive so you can let go of the weight, the anger, the questions, the cycles. Because if you keep holding on to resentment, you're still chained to her. And that's exactly what her ego wants, for you to stay stuck in bitterness, obsession, and pain. A Stoic chooses to forgive not because it's easy, but because he refuses to let anyone rent space in his mind without paying. You don't forgive, and then reach out. You don't forgive and look for closure. You forgive and move quietly, strongly, unapologetically. She expected a grudge. She expected backlash. She expected you to hate her forever. But when you hit her with grace, when you show you're done, not out of spite, but out of evolution, that's when she feels it. That's when the regret hits like a punch she never saw coming. This is the full circle, the final frame. You're not bitter, you're better. And now, she's not only out of your life, she's out of your head. That's true detachment. That's real healing. You rise not for revenge, not for applause, but because you decided no one gets to break you twice. You made it to the end. And that alone says something. You're not here to wallow. You're not here to chase. You're here to rise, to rebuild, to become. This wasn't about her. It never really was. It was about you remembering who the hell you are when the noise fades and the masks fall. You thought no contact was enough. Now you know better. Now you know. Becoming untouchable is the real move. So let her wander. Let her scroll. Let her drown in the silence you command. While she plays games, you play chess. While she seeks validation, you seek meaning. And while she looks back, you look forward. This isn't about revenge. It's about never being that vulnerable again. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to be chosen because he's already chosen himself. This is your era built on silence, focus, and unshakable self-respect. Carry it with discipline, speak it with action, and never again let anyone confuse access with value. You're not bitter, you're not broken, you're reborn. If you felt that, if you're ready to keep rising, hit that like button. Subscribe to Stoic Blessing. Turn on notifications. Comment below. I rise with silence and power. Remember this, she didn't lose you when she walked away. She lost you when you never looked back.